it's just around the corner.
Yet again, I can say welcome to Udstødt, the Danish podcast in English. And here I have Jasmin. Jasmin. What is her last name? So many people, I forget the names. Sorry, Jasmin. And you are here as a former firefighter.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't know that?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses. And the funny thing is that you are a roommate with Ashley I just interviewed.
Yes, I am. Yes. We're roommates and friends and basically sisters at this point.
But she also told me that when you were Jehovah's Witnesses, not that you didn't like each other or dislike, but you didn't have any community. You were not friends at that time.
No, we were not friends at that time, even if we were in the same congregation and we saw each other. But no, we just didn't know each other. But our husbands knew each other.
Okay, so they were closer friends.
They were not that close, but they were at least trying to get to know each other.
Oh, okay.
Versus me and Ashley, who were not even trying. We were
like salt and pepper. But that story we'll come to, because actually and that's a cliffhanger. At one point, you almost leave Jehovah's Witnesses together.
Yes.
And then now you and Ashley are best friends and
Yeah.
living together. And
Yeah.
that's interesting. Okay, cliffhanger. You come back. So, Jasmin.
Yes.
Generations of Jehovah's Witnesses? Third, fourth?
Yes. So on my dad's side, my grandmother became a witness when my father and his siblings were young. So he grew up as a witness. My mother converted, actually, when she was around 19. So she grew up as a regular person in a regular home, not religious at all, but then decided at 16 to move to Oslo. And she was very in search of meaning. And she told me at one point she read the Quran. She was looking for religion. And I think she just fell prey to two lovely witnesses that knocked on her door and gave her a hope about seeing her grandfather again in paradise that she really wanted to see. So, yeah.
Interesting.
I think that's...
I said to one of the persons I interviewed yesterday that for many people that get interested in Jehovah's Witnesses because of the person who knocks on your door. They learn to know some people very, very nice, and it's the social community. It might as well have been Mormons coming knocking, and then she would be a Mormon. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. I think it's more... Yeah, I think it's just the timing of some vulnerable people that maybe they would cling to anything. I mean, I don't know, but also, yeah, my mom ended up becoming friends with the people that I think she was in very need of a community and of someone to take her in. And I think the witnesses gave her exactly what she needed. If I may use the word love bomb, I think that's what might have happened there.
I love atom bomb. Yeah. I love that. I was interviewed by some journalists the other day, and I said, actually, you're a journalist. Don't ask me all the questions. You have to see the other side. You have to be objective. So I arranged for them to contact some Jehovah's Witnesses so they could come to their Kingdom Hall and see how it was for themselves. And I said, I'm not going to prepare you for anything, but come back and tell how it was, and then you'll have your own opinion about it. Yeah, they were love bombed.
Yeah.
That's very interesting for them. It was not I wouldn't say disgusting, but very overwhelming. People you never seen before in your life. Hi, welcome. Where are you from? Already there, they felt like it's a little bit cultish.
Yeah, for people who are maybe not in that sort of a place, it might seem weird and disconcerting, where you're like, what is going on here? It's like, what are you trying to sell me? But I think if you meet a vulnerable person who doesn't maybe have that many people around, and they seem so nice, and this is the Bible, and you've been looking for spiritual, maybe guidance,
your family. You are never alone. When you're home, I will be singing. You made it back. Welcome home. It's where you belong. And we're so happy to see you. Now you're
It's a good news about the paradise on earth, and you get to see your loved ones again, and you don't think so much about Armageddon and the billions of people being died. And it's the same thing. I just had a person from Greenland I interviewed 2 weeks ago, and she had a point about one of her best friends in Greenland was one of the anointed. She was 24 years old, taking the emblems. Yeah, you think about anointed, you have to be at least 50. Yeah. And she was crying because her best friend is now going to be 144,000. And then she said later on, she was beginning to think about, what does it mean? One thing is that you're a little bit narcissistic when you think you have been appointed by billions of people to sit in the government with Jesus Christ. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But they're also going to fight. They're going to fight like... He said, Sam, what's his name from the governing body? Samuel heard, we're going to fight. Yeah, I'm going to show that clip here.
So when the anointed are called to heaven, one of the first assignments is to fight. Yeah. Now that's interesting.
So they are going to kill millions of people, her best friend. And she said, she also has a grandmother and some friends she knows that are not Jehovah's Witnesses. She's going to kill them.
It's insane.
It is insane. But why I'm talking about that, because people are interested in Jehovah's Witnesses. They always tell the good stuff. They don't tell about what their doctrines also is about.
Not until later on, I think.
Yeah.
When they've caught them.
Exactly.
Then maybe they can start. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I can't relate because I've just grown up like this.
Yeah, but it's the same method. The Scientologists use the same thing. You wait till you are ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jehovah's Witnesses would say, oh, Jesus said that to his disciples. You're not ready yet. You're like children. Yeah. Later on. Yeah. It's all in the Bible.
You have to drink the scripture? I forgot now. And I don't know what it is in English, but you have to drink the milk before you can eat the solid foods.
And nowadays, you have to drink the Kool-Aid. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ashley, you're not Ashley. Jasmin.
Yes.
So your mother meets your father, and here you are today.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any siblings?
I have one sister.
Mm-hmm.
I have a younger sister. She thankfully never baptized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she's we're still in contact. Yeah.
Okay. Your parents, are they in contact with? They're still JWs?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't spoken to them since I left.
Okay.
But my sister has contact with them and goes to see them and stuff.
Because she's not
baptized. So. And maybe there's a chance to save her, you know? Maybe it's not too late, even though she's told them many times she doesn't want to talk about the doctrine, and my mom sometimes sends her things like, do you remember us reading the Yellow Book? You know, don't you remember paradise and these nice stories? And she's like, can you please just not talk to me about this?
You know, it's a thing they learn in the Kingdom Hall. It's from this brochure, Return to Jehovah, something like that. And then you have Jesus, the little sheep. In that brochure, there is a description about what you can do to convince former members, family members. And one of the things is, and I heard that from many former Jehovah's Witnesses, they come suddenly to your door because now they're allowed to do that. We encourage you to return. And they say, can I show you just this picture? Do you remember this? We were out preaching. Oh, this is from this congregation, and this is from a convention. Do you remember? Oh, that. So you have to show them some old pictures. to trick something in them. Oh, I missed that. It's a description.
That is so like dirty tricks.
It is a dirty trick, isn't
Yeah.
it? Oh, but they don't see. Your parents are not evil persons.
No, she's just trying to save her daughter from death because she believes very strongly, my mother, and always has. She's extremely indoctrinated and probably will be.
Yeah.
For the rest of her life.
Yeah. It's sad, isn't it? Okay, so how in short sentences, your child, when you were a child, was it difficult to be a Jehovah's Witness? Were you sad not being able to have Christmas, holidays, and so on?
I wasn't sad directly because I didn't have any relationship with it. I thought it was a little, I don't know, I don't think I was sad. It was just like, this is how it is. And I don't think I didn't have any perception of what it would be to celebrate Christmas, only that was something that we didn't do because it was bad. But I don't remember being sad about it at the time as a child. But I'm sad about it as an adult that I didn't have it, you know?
No.
But I wasn't sad at the time. It was just like, it's...
But in the public school, when you went there with all the other evil worldly people, they have a Christmas tree and so on, but you didn't feel it was not a big deal for you to avoid it, no?
Not really, no. But I do remember that it was, like, what I remember as, like, a bit of a sad, weird moment is, like, when they were going to do some sort of preparation. I don't remember what it was. It was either Christmas or Easter or 17 Mai, something where we were going to do something. And I had to go sit out in the hall. I guess I couldn't attend. And I just remember sitting there being like, again, I wasn't sad. I was just like, this is so weird. Like,
it is,
and it's so boring. And why am I sitting out here in the hall? Because I can't sing or do whatever they're doing in there. I just thought it was really weird. But I was like, it is what it is, I guess. It's weird.
It is weird.
Yeah.
But then again, I can say about my own childhood that it was so bad because that was just the way it was. But it was weird that every time one of my classmates had a birthday, they wanted to sing a birthday song. And my teacher, he respected my parents' wish and my wish at Jehovah's Witness. So, Frank, you know what to do. So I have to go out, close the door. They're singing the birthday song, and then I come back in. But it was just another day at the office. It was it was a routine.
Yeah.
But it was strange.
Yeah.
You are really.
Yeah. It is strange.
It must do something by.
It is strange.
It is.
But also, I had a little bit of a different, like, when I was in, elementary school, my teacher through all of elementary school was a witness.
Wow.
And was in our congregation. So he actually got in trouble sometimes because he wouldn't do a lot of Christmas. Like, he wouldn't have, like, a Christmas calendar. Like, he wouldn't have any of these things. He got yelled at by the other parents, so he had to start doing it. But I guess that gave me a little bit of, like, a safety at school where it was like, this person isn't out to get me and this person understands, so he won't push me to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a lifesaver for you.
Yeah, because there was no other children. It was a very small school. There was no one else in the school that was a Jehovah's Witness.
It's very rarely you hear about a Jehovah's Witness being educated as a teacher, actually.
Yeah.
How did he get that? Maybe he came from outside like your mother too?
I don't know. It's so long ago. I don't remember. And he was very old.
Oh, he's long gone.
Yeah, I don't know.
Doesn't matter. But very interesting. I heard about a Jehovah's Witness elder in Minnesota who was also a doctor on an emergency hospital.
Oh.
How could you be that with blood? No.
Yeah.
So many questions at a time.
Yeah.
So you grow up, you are happy, and your sister also. You go to the conventions. It's just nice, more or less childhood. You get baptized at around.
I got baptized at 16. Yeah.
Why so late, Jasmin?
Yeah.
It's a little too late, isn't it?
Yeah, I did feel a little late actually. But it's I was actually scared kind of to get baptized because I was scared that I would do, not that I understood being disfellowshipped fully, because you don't. when you're
maybe you have seen someone in your congregation.
Not really, not anyone close anyway. No one that really affected me. Just like some periphery people you hear about, and then you're like, oh, they probably did something bad. You don't think it's nothing that hit me personally. But I did know about this thing that, like, you know, you can be kicked out even though you don't understand what it means when you're in there. But I had there was this woman that was studying with me throughout my childhood, and she actually came to school to study with me because you can get taken out of, you know, the religious
like a prayer room.
No. It's like when you're in school, you have this religious education, like you learn
Kristendomskunst.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, religions. Yeah.
You have that.
You know that kristendomskundskab. You all know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an hour where you have Christianity mostly, but also other religions.
And you learn about other religions. But when you're your parents have the right to take you out of that class if you don't want you to be in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
And so they did that. And so when those kids were having that class, I was in the library and just having a study with my study from the congregation.
What did the other grown-up, normal people, teachers say about that?
I don't know.
Oh, look at that little Joe. Where is the child being indoctrinated in our school?
But you have to remember my teacher was a Jehovah's Witness who knew her, and my parents were okay with it, you know.
Of course.
So he knew, they all knew each other, so they were fine. They probably thought I got a better education being taught, you know, the JW stuff than...
So in one classroom, the children were being taught critical thinking and the history of religions and hearing about other religions.
Actually learning about other religions.
Actually learning and, you. And then in the other classroom, little Jasmin was sitting there being indoctrinated.
Reading the Bible. Yeah, learning all the Bible books by heart, or like in the row, so I could use the Bible, you know, without the registry.
Oh, yeah, you're really a zealous.
That's one of the things that she taught me.
Is it still stuck?
Some of them are, yeah, because it's like a little song almost. Yeah, but now I think everything I forgot.
Yeah.
But I knew them all.
Yeah.
And I was like, so that I could like, and I was so proud because as a young child, I could then find the scriptures without the guiding things on the side, and my mom couldn't do it, and so I was like, I know them. Yeah, so that's what I did all through from grade, I don't know what grade, 2 till grade 7.
So once a week there were people coming studying with you. That's very interesting.
And this is just to say that the same woman studied with me when I became an unbaptized publisher, and when I was like, she studied with me a little on and off, but she was like my go-to person, you know what I mean? And I remember I felt like it was time for me to get baptized, but I was scared, and I told her, I was like, well, what if I do something wrong? You
asked?
Yeah, I was like, I'm scared to get baptized because I'm scared that I'll do something wrong and then it'll be bad, because I was very scared to do something bad. Just, I don't know what it would be in my head, but like something bad, you know? And then she told me, and then this is like burned into my memory, and she goes, well, do you know that this is the right thing to do? Do you know that this is the truth? And I say, yes, of course I know it's the truth. And she's like, well, do you want to sin towards Jehovah? And I was like, no, of course not. And then she says, well, if you know that it's right and you don't do it, that is also a sin. So by not getting baptized, if you know that it's right, that's also a sin. And so I was like, oh crap, so I'm actually sinning now.
You're saying oh crap?
Yeah.
That would be singing.
Yeah, I was going to say something else, but then I was like, no.
You didn't say oh crap, no matter what.
I was censoring myself. No, but I was like, oh, she's right. So then I don't have anything to lose, because then I should get baptized. Also, all my friends were baptized at this point, and I was one of the, last ones.
There was an article in the Watchtower a few years ago, and that was also coming up. Some parents, why are you not helping your children to get baptized? It was a whole article about that. And then one of the paragraphs actually says, so the Watchtower knows about this, but some parents would not encourage their children because what if they get disfellowshipped, for example, like that. And then, if I remember correct, I will take some screenshots and put on the screen so you can see it. Something like, but Jehovah sees everything. So you will be judged no matter what, even though you're not baptized. Okay, then I might as well do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like, you're damned if you do, and
damned
if you don't.
It's a good expression. Okay. You have heard about this trial in Norway and Oslo and the court and so on. Rysdal, the lawyer, said also yesterday, but also some of the other days last week, several times. But you are not just getting baptized like this. You go through, is it 100 questions or 80 questions, with the elders? Ask you a lot of the baptism questions.
I don't remember it being that many questions.
Okay.
But you study this book that you study with your study person, either your parent or your study person.
We use elders.
I don't remember. I remember some of the, they will ask you some questions, but I don't remember how many.
Okay, write in the comments part, I think it's at least 50, if not more, whatever.
Yeah.
And then his argument is, of course, it is actually hard to go through all that. They are asking several questions about, do you know what it is? Do you know what this fellowshipping is? So you know that in advance. How can you say afterwards that, it's so bad for me being Jehovah's Witness? They don't let everybody in.
Well, first of all, I don't remember being asked any questions about disfellowshipping or if I knew what it was. I honestly don't remember that.
But they do.
They do?
That's one of the questions. Do you know the consequences by this?
Yeah.
In some way they ask.
Yes. I mean, of course, everyone knows about it, just know what it is. But you can't possibly fathom what it is until it happens to you. So it's a very unfair thing to ask of a child. Because, it's a very big difference between knowing something just logically, okay, then I'll be kicked out. But then also, you never think at that moment that that's going to happen to you because you're completely convinced and indoctrinated that only really bad people would do that. Or you know what I mean? And if you do that, something really bad happened. And then if you regret and show what is it? If you show remorse. Then if you show remorse, they will take you back in, So it's not a real threat when you are that indoctrinated. It's just a maybe scenario that seems completely removed from you as a person. Because if you're at that stage where you're getting baptized, you're peak indoctrinated, Yeah. And also a child. So that's not a fair argument for Rysdal.
You don't think Rysdal is very fair, no? Okay.
No.
Then we have to... Let's join the club.
I'm not going to say my opinion about him.
But it looks so nice. No. Okay, I have one positive thing about him. I do understand his Norwegian much better than the States lawyers, the young girls there.
Oh, yeah, it's because of their dialects?
The dialects, and they're speaking faster. I understand almost everything he says.
Yeah.
And the bad thing is, when he talks, I understand everything. It makes me puke.
Yeah, maybe you don't want to understand anything he says.
No. Okay. You get baptized, and let's jump to how you chose your future partner, because you got married very young, like Ashley.
Yes. Yeah, that is a good question. I should probably have.
Did God's Spirit show you the way? I was looking for a spiritual young man.
I don't. Honestly, I just think it was a mix of many things. But I think it's just I was in a very hurry to grow up and move away from home too, because I wasn't really happy at home. Me and my mother were arguing a lot, and I felt very veslevoksen, as you would say in Norwegian, grown. So when I met him, it was just we just fell in love, and it was just like one of those things where it's like, well, you have to get married to, you know what I mean? It was just like one of these things. It just happened that way. And I was like, yeah, I want to move away from home. And like, to be honest, I didn't really want to get married. I just wanted to move in with him and move away. But like, I have to get married because I can't, you know what I mean? You have to get married. You can't just move in with someone.
Just be in the same room,
yeah.
You have to get married.
Yeah, yeah. So it was more of like, at the time, that felt like the right thing to do. And yeah.
Did your mother approve it, or did she warn you against getting married too soon? You were too young. Did you say anything? Or you just said, yes, okay, problem solved?
They actually didn't say anything, but I think they knew that if they had said anything, I wouldn't have listened to them anyway. Okay. Yeah. I think, and also because they married really young.
Oh, them themselves.
Yeah. So I was like, well, you can't say anything because you did the same thing. But looking back on it, I wish someone would have told me, like, you are very young. Maybe you should wait a little.
The same as in Denmark. It's more typical 20 years old plus minus 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah. I was 19. Yeah.
Yeah, I was 19 too.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much normal.
Yeah. For the witnesses, yeah.
Yeah, for the witnesses.
I already had friends that had been married, like that married on the day after they turned 18. So I was turning 20 that year. So I was already, you know what I mean?
An old maid.
Yes, exactly. And my two best friends had already married. So it didn't feel like that big of a deal. But looking back, I'm like, oh my goodness, Jasmin, we're dating.
Me and Ashley also, a lot, I love this subject. That when you go through development as a normal person, more or less normal, non-Jehovah's Witnesses, you have boyfriend, girlfriend, you find out your sexuality around your puberty, 12, 13 years old, you try a little sex, okay, what's good for me? But as a Jehovah's Witness, you take two people just in love, you're not allowed to touch each other, sex is suppressed, and then you put them together and say you may never get a divorce.
Yeah.
And how many people, how could they know in advance if they, just this example, a lot of others, sexually, do they fit together? Yes or no? We're not allowed to try it at least, but you're stuck for the rest of the life. At least in this example, it shows how fucked up it all is and how many marriages must be very, very bad inside Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah. I'm for sure. I really wonder what it's like. There has to be some high numbers of.
Yeah, how can we find out? It's very, very difficult. So you are married very young. You moved together.
Yes.
And then, did you get any children?
No.
No. Oh.
Yes, I'm very
Luckily.
good for that.
Yeah. And was he spiritual, very strong? Did he try to get being ministerial servant, or elder? Or?
No, when we got married, I was the one that was the most like strong, just because like I've been brought up in a home that's very everything revolves around the truth.
Very spiritual, similar.
Yes. And my mother was also like super believing. Like I grew up my whole childhood thinking that Armageddon would come tomorrow. That type of parent who's like, it can come any day. Like she's very much like that. So I was also very much like that. Like we have to prioritize the meetings, the field service. And when we got together, he wasn't that spiritual, but it became like I was like, I'm going to help him.
Oh, I heard that story before. A lot of sisters taking a husband who's not that spiritual, and then they are forcing him to reach or hire ministerial servant, whatever.
Yeah. No, I was more like, there was a period of time right when we got together where he was like, he didn't want to go to the meeting. And I remember being like, no, we have to go to the meeting. We have to put Jehovah first. Like, we're not going to get any blessings. Like, if we're going to be, we have to put Jehovah first. I was when I was young, around that age, I was very, that was like my only, I was like grabbing hard on to the fact that paradise is coming soon and we must be,
I have to play the jingle. It is just around the corner. Since 1879, just around the corner. So you really you bought in on this?
Oh yeah, I believe.
You never doubted once?
No, not
as
then.
A teenager.
No, I was completely like, I didn't doubt it at all back then. Not.
You didn't have some friends in school that asked you some questions you couldn't answer.
No, I was
That's
just
incredible.
No, I was very indoctrinated when I was.
Yeah, mom and dad. Good job.
They really brainwashed.
But at least they washed you with clean water. What's not to like?
Yeah.
I heard a brother from my congregation use that once in the field service. You're brainwashed. Yeah, but it's clean water.
Oh, no.
Okay, that was very funny, isn't it?
That is funny.
So you were brainwashed, or at least you could say indoctrinated.
Yeah, I was very indoctrinated when I was young.
What happened?
And also around that time too, I think it became extra strong is because I struggled a lot with the chronic illness around the time. And so I became, I couldn't work. Like this happened around when we got married. And therefore, like whenever I could do something, I would go in field service, and then I would be like, this was a thing that maybe wouldn't pass. And so I was like, well, I have to hope for paradise, so it kind of like strengthens that when you have these issues and then you want to like do whatever you can. So I was, that's sort of what kept me going, because it's like, oh, well, I'm struggling with this, but Jehovah's and also Jehovah can't put more on you than you can bear. So then you become more, like grateful.
Remember Job.
Yeah.
If he could do it, you can do it too.
It's basically that. Yeah.
So that was also one of the things that said, I have to believe this because I want to get good health in the future.
Yeah. Or like maybe if I'm lucky, I go to paradise.
Maybe because you cannot be sure no matter how many hours you are in the field service.
So we have to go to the meeting,
I have to
make
read
sure.
the Bible, read the Watchtower every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can tell you, if you want to know when it sort of really turned the way I remember.
I do. That's what I'm fishing for. You're in circles now. Jasmin, come on. Now.
I'm in circles. I'm getting to it. It's a long story, There's a lot of.
Oh no!
Or you could get lost down.
Spare me for the details, please. Go.
I just remember being increasingly like my Armageddon anxiety got worse and worse, especially around the time where my sister was clearly not going down the road of becoming a witness. And also because I don't know if you've kept up with the convention videos and stuff that's been released throughout the years, but I don't know if you remember in 2016, they released like a string of videos that was filmed in like a bunker, and where they're like sitting and they're having their little meeting down in the bunker, and then they're waiting for the special forces to come and and it's like bonk, bonk, bonk. Yeah, that video. I watched that and I was just like, this is terrible. This is frightening. This is spiking my anxiety. I don't want to sit in it. I thought it was terrible. I thought it was completely terrible. And I know that some people found it strengthening because it's like, well, they're getting saved before they come to get them. But I was just like, no, this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. I hate this.
Check the basement. Shut that door.
And then around the same time, my sister got a worldly boyfriend, and she was still living at home. So my dad said to her, well, you have to break up with him or move out because he's an elder. So he couldn't have any of these things happen under his
father was an elder, not the boyfriend. I know.
No, my father is still an elder. So she moved out almost immediately and moved in with this guy. And so then I became very aware that my sister, like when Armageddon comes, what's going to happen to my sister? Is she going to die?
You couldn't give her the key for the bunker that she could lock herself in?
I was terrified. I was terrified.
I remember also at these conventions how many small children are not seeing that.
Yes. And then in 2018, the video where they are coming after them with like machine guns or something in the woods.
Yeah, it's a song. It's one of the songs.
Yeah, it's one of the songs.
Be courageous, something like that.
Yeah.
What about the video with the mom that now recently deleted with the mom not taking the cell phone? That was also around...
That was 2016 too.
Yeah.
2016, 2017, yeah. So there were a lot of things that came out in that time where I was just like... And it gave me so much anxiety that I just like tried to withdraw as much as I could while still being in it, of course. But in my head, I was like, there's so many issues. And also...
So not only anxiety, also you were beginning to doubt the truth?
I wasn't doubting the truth, but I was doubting... How can I put it? I still thought it was true, but I didn't know if I could live with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so...
Explain.
Because it's like, I don't want to be a part of a religion where that like my sister is like, she's not going to live. You know what I mean? But it's like, if that's true, I can't help it.
So you figured yourself living in paradise on earth for eternity and missing your sister?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah, something that I didn't want that. So I didn't want it to be true. But then I was like, how can it not be true? You know what I mean?
Oh, but the Watcher has a good solution for that. They say, no, in the new world, Jehovah will delete our memories.
Yeah.
What's that kind of... That's religion.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. They say something up for everything. But yeah, it was around that time when it like started to like, yeah.
And what effect did it have? Did you not attend the meeting so much as before? You were not so zealous in the service?
I did still attend the meetings, but I zoned out more mentally. Like I didn't prepare that. Like I was more like there as like a shell. And I was just like, and then I also felt bad. I had such a guilty conscience because I was like, I should, be really into this. And because of my sister, I was so torn. And it's really hard to explain because this was all like subconscious, but I still didn't think that it wasn't true. That's something I couldn't allow myself to do. I just thought there were many things that I didn't agree on. And also, like, another thing that was also very, like, made it, like, feel like not, is the Jehovah's Witnesses, how they view homosexuals. Because I had been brought up in a very small place without any people like that you know? It's like just a foreign... Just like these people are bad and terrible and, but then when I started working in Oslo, I started getting friends that were like gay, lesbian, and I was like, these people are great and nice, but then what they're doing is supposedly so terrible. And then I remember having this thought, like, this was after I had gotten over my initial illness and I started working again, and I was like, why is it so wrong for them? Like, why should they not be allowed to just love who they love?
So you more or less had some friends who were worldly. Did they know that you were
Jehovah's Witness? I was working with them.
Yeah, colleagues. Did they know that you were Jehovah's Witness, or did you tone it down?
I toned it down a lot.
Why did you do that? You should be a proud witness.
But
you should preach to everyone.
I didn't want to bring that with me because I didn't want to get judged for anything else but how I was acting. So I was keeping that very much on the background. If someone asked me directly, I would talk about it, but they wouldn't. So I was very undercover.
Would you stand by a cart also in a neighborhood where they could see?
I never did the cart thing.
No.
And I didn't want to.
A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses are actually, let's say the word embarrassed by being a Jehovah's Witness. They don't mention on the job. They don't like to go from door to door. Definitely not standing next to a cart because what if some of my They're embarrassed. Why are they that? And at the same time to say they're believing.
I don't know. Maybe they have some doubts, or there's some parts of it that they don't agree with.
There must be some doubt. If you really should believe that Jehovah sees everything and it's
just around the corner.
You shouldn't be afraid of other people and embarrassed by being a Jehovah's Witness. Well, a lot of people are. They're flying under the radar. They're toning it down.
I was always embarrassed. Like when I was a young kid, I was like embarrassed if someone saw me do something different, like knocking on the doors. And I always had anxiety in the field service, but I was always forced to do it. So I did it anyway. But then when I was like in my mid-20s and I had gotten back to work, I just wanted to be somewhat of a normal person. I just didn't want to carry all of that stuff on my back. And with my sister. And but what happened then was that my ex-husband became more zealous in his later 20s when I was becoming less.
Interesting psychologically.
Yeah.
Do you think it because he saw you fading more and more and become less, then he wanted to... when one person gets weak, the other has to be strong. Is it something like that? Maybe. Psychologically?
Maybe.
It was because of your behavior that dragged him further in. You are to blame.
Maybe.
Now I'm gaslighting.
Yeah. No, I don't know exactly. I think it's also because he thought it was fun to get more responsibility when he did better too, because he, by that time we had started a little bit in the Chinese thing, and he thought it was fun with more responsibility and learning more about that. So I think it was more like he got more out of it too. He got to do some other things, learn other things.
Do something that normally you should be ministerial servants to be, then had this responsibility, clap on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay, now you are talking like I heard this before, and I did, but you guys out there haven't. So, what about China? Tell us.
What about China?
Yeah, you have to tell the Chinese story.
Okay. To start from the beginning, when we moved to Oslo, it's 10 years ago now, 12 years ago, we moved to Oslo English congregation because they had a need for more young couples. And in that congregation, they were going to start up a Chinese little group. And so we were asked, one of the first meetings that we went to, we were like, oh, do you want to learn Chinese? And I remember thinking, Chinese of all things. Now I love languages. Languages is my thing. I had learned a little bit of this and a little bit of that over the years. And I had many languages on my list, but Chinese wasn't one of them at all. And I was like, Chinese, couldn't we do Spanish or something? Because I'm already learning Spanish and it would be not, you know what I mean? But then my ex-husband, who isn't interested in languages at all, was positive to this. He was like, Chinese, that sounds fun. And then I was like,
sounds exotic.
And then I was like, well, if it's a language that he wants to do and I'm the language person here, then we should probably like do this together. So...
And also having a little adventure, coming away from the normal Norwegian way of living and language. It's more interesting than being just a normal rank and file Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah. So we did do just a few classes and classes with, the Chinese couple that was in that congregation. And we had our little congregation where we had the book study, and we were such a small group that you can't really do a lot, but it was like a nice little,
How many were you in that group?
In the beginning, not that many, under 10.
Under 10, but and only 2 were original Chinese, and then foreigners.
And then they had they recruited these young couples, so that they could preach for all the tourists that were in Oslo.
That was the main goal. The tourists in Oslo, preaching for them. It was not like they were preparing you to go to China.
No, not then.
There.
No, not then. No, It was more like we have a lot of tourists in this area because we lived in Udstødt, and we would like to, be able to indoctrinate them too. So,
did anyone ever come back to say, yes, I did it. I convinced a Chinese tourist to become Jehovah's Witness?
not that I know of.
No.
I have not heard of such a tale. I don't know if if it exists. Probably not.
So this Chinese tourist coming back to Beijing with a watchtower, and now he's starting his own congregation.
Yeah, I think it's more like they took the pamphlet and then they were like, oh, look at these cute Norwegian people who gave me this thing. And then probably...
And we all know that Chinese people love pandas. And in the watchtower, there are pandas everywhere. Eh? Oh, is it good? Oh, I can use it as rice paper. No.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I don't think that would... don't understand how that was supposed to be like a successful thing like the tourists would. You know how they are. You're supposed to spread the word to everyone, you know?
Oh, yeah. And Chinese people are very polite. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Ni hao. That's the thing I can say.
Yeah.
So you came more and more studying Chinese and getting better and better. And I can hear in your English that you are a language person. Wow. Oh, this is the first time I hear that. No, don't lie to me. No. You're perfect at English. But at some point, you moved to China, actually.
Yes.
Was that the watchtower encouraging you to be a neat grader?
No, not at all, actually. And this is years later. Because our little group that we had dissolved because of people moving away. So it was dissolved and we didn't have a group for a long time. And then we changed congregations to the Oslo English North, where is also where Ashley and Alex moved.
Mm-hmm.
And we moved to that congregation. And then some people moved to that congregation that were Chinese. So we could once again have, because you need to have some locals, you know, or else it's like no point, essentially. So the group got started up again years later. And around this time, I was like, okay, maybe I should do a Chinese language class after work then. Because now I forgot everything, because it's been 2-3 years since we had a group. So I should like freshen it up again. So I go online and I look at these classes and courses, and then I find this bachelor's degree that includes 6 months of mandatory studies in China. So I showed this to my husband and I was like, look, this looks interesting, but this is a whole degree in university. It's maybe a little much. And he said, no, I think you can do it. I think you should go for it. Actually, I think you would be good at this. And I was like, okay, well, then we have to move to China. And he was like, no, that's fine. I can get...
That was a part of that study.
That was a part of the study. You had to do it. Yep. It's one of the requirements. Or else you couldn't finish.
But if you moved to China, what kind of work? How could you make a living there while you're studying?
No, you moved there as an exchange student.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get Lånekassen and you get, yeah.
But did your husband also take that degree studying Chinese?
He didn't, but he had since he works as an electronics engineer and research and developer, he had the chance to get a work visa. So he didn't stay for 6 months. He had to leave and come back. I could only stay. I couldn't leave. So he got to go back and forth, go home for a couple of weeks, and then come back. But I stayed for 6 months. But he could get a business visa.
So you came there not to be a neat grader, not sent by Watchtower, to study, to go to this Chinese school. But you were also a Jehovah's Witness.
Yes.
Did you attend any Chinese? How many Jehovah's Witnesses Chinese are there, including foreigners? Do you think, more or less?
I don't know, because they keep all the numbers it's very secret. Everything is on a need-to-know basis, and no one really knows, because no one's supposed to know. Well, maybe some people know, but not us normal people. And you get switched around, so you meet at different apartments, depending on the area. And it's especially for us, because we're white and we stand out, we can't go to the same house, you know, at night, because
people would recognize you.
Because maybe they would think that we would do something. But what they do is they put us in a group where there were more Western people and Americans, so that maybe it would look like we were visiting them. So that's what we did.
So how did you find those Jehovah's Witnesses?
And that was all my husband, because I didn't have any contacts with anyone. But some of the people that had moved so that we could start the new Chinese group had lived in Beijing. And my husband became friends with him, and then he had a lot of contacts in Beijing because that's where they lived before. So my husband got in touch with all the people and like got contacts. I was more just on the sideline. I didn't.
So tell me, enlighten me more. This is now it's going to be interesting. Now it's getting interesting. Elliot's getting in now. I've been waiting for that for almost. Wow. No,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Irony might be used. No, you're very interesting. You come to Beijing, you find this group of Jehovah's Witnesses, your husband helped finding. How many are there in that group, approximately?
That we met, maybe, I mean, mostly foreigners, but maybe like 15 to 20 that I saw.
20, and out of the 20, how many were really Chinese people?
Under half. In the groups that we were in, but you have to remember Beijing is huge and there's different groups, you know.
Oh, it's very, very few.
Yeah.
And maybe some of the Chinese people living there comes from the United States.
Maybe. Yeah. There were a few locals, but there were less Chinese people. Than,
So you come to that. It's not a big kingdom hall. It's more or less it's a private room.
It's a private apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And the apartment that we were in mostly was the apartment of an American missionary couple that had lived in Beijing for years. And they also had this like soundproof door and a camera so that they could see who was coming in. And there was also these procedures that if like someone knocked on the door and you would go and see, and if it had been like a security guard or like a Chinese like security person, we would like rearrange and pretend to have a party or something.
It's the bunker video all over again.
So if Jehovah's telling me I need to exercise self-control in all things, even my thinking, then I'm loyal to Jehovah when I try.
Elaine, you are to be commended for what you did and for seeing the need.
I've never thought about that, but that's exactly, I was sitting there at the convention watching that video being like, oh, and then the years later I'm in China and that's exactly what's happening.
Oh,
I never even thought about that.
They talk a lot because it has to be a little bit of, a lot of paranoia in a group like that. The American missionary, did they tell any stories about Jehovah's Witnesses being arrested or kicked out because of...
I think in the later years there weren't that many stories about that. It was like... Before we got there, it had been a period of like everything being calm and like not that many people that went after people. But we had to be very quiet. And like for someone with high anxiety that I had at the time, I was just sitting there like, because you sing the song, but you have to sing quietly, you know? And then you can't clap, you know? Yeah.
That's interesting. So you were a little paranoid.
Because I felt like and I was scared to do something wrong to get me kicked out of university because I was like, they catch me doing illegal activities, maybe they'll kick me out.
But that's an interesting angle. You still have this feeling of I have to go to the meetings, and then you have the worldly class and all that. So if you are totally honest, if you could choose and nobody cared, would you have preferred not to have contact with Jehovah's Witnesses in China?
Absolutely, yeah.
But that was your husband saying, no, we have to go to the meetings.
No, and I felt bad I wanted to support him because he was making a real effort. Like he was working too. He was working his job and like doing all of this. And then he was additionally meeting these people and like doing more in the truth than me because I was at school. And I felt bad. And it's like, the least I can do is come with him to the meeting. You know what I mean? I felt really bad because I felt like he was doing this great effort and I felt like a bad person for not wanting to go. But I felt like it was so uncomfortable. I was so... And yeah, like I told you before this started too, it's like I started to see the complete like absurdness of this little group sneaking around undercover in this big country with all of these other histories, cultures, and beliefs. and that we were gonna teach them somehow that we had the truth. I was just like, this is absolutely absurd. And actually, the first time I dared to read, because NRK and stuff like that do articles on disfellowshipped people sometimes.
What is that called?
Like NRK, it's like the Norwegian news, the official Norwegian.
Yeah. Okay, national TV,
Yeah.
NRK. Yeah.
They sometimes do articles on disfellowship people or XJWs and stuff,
Mm.
which I would never read.
Of
ever.
course not.
No.
Women's world.
But the first time I dared to read one of those was in China. And I don't know if it's because I was so far away from everything and everyone else that it felt almost safer to do it there. Because, like, who would know? I don't know if it was a mental thing that I was so far away from everyone.
Yeah, it is.
Because I wouldn't do it at home. I didn't dare.
Interesting. So in a way, coming to Beijing and being there and having thoughts, this is actually absurd, trying to teach people this and they have their own Buddhism. It in a way that woke you up.
Yes, very, like, not fully, because I still believed that this was true, but it definitely made a lot of things start to turn and start to, like, not seem right. And I was really starting to think about, like, how terrible it is that we disfellowship people.
Because of the articles of NRK.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned it to my husband too. I'm like, disfellowshipping is actually really, I've never thought about how bad it is. And even then I didn't even know how bad it is.
No.
But I was like reading this article and I was like, it's true.
And how did he react?
I think I don't remember.
Did he agree with you? I say, yeah, you're actually right. Or did he say, no, it's Jehovah's arrangement?
I think he would maybe agree, but also that, it's the price you pay, sort of kind of attitude. Not that I remember completely correctly. I just remember my own, like, that I felt that was really unfair. But then I also put it a little bit to one side because I had to focus on other things to just survive from day to day. But I had this thing where I was like, I don't feel like it's very loving. I don't feel like it's, But then again, who am I to know better than God?
And you are a woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to ask your husband at home. That's what Paul said.
Yeah.
It's quite a congregation. Don't have too many independent thoughts. Okay, just one more China question. In that so-called congregation, American missionaries, and there were also from other Western countries.
Yeah, there was a woman from Denmark, actually. There were some from Australia or New Zealand that we met. Yeah, and then us.
But
that's what I remember.
You came to all the meetings and you were singing very quietly, no clapping. You were going through everything and you speech every Sunday. You follow the program in secret.
They follow the program, yeah. But I started attending less and less meetings as the time went by, also because I was too exhausted because of school. And
they didn't come by you and say, hey, Misha, we're not so many.
No, because I was married and my husband was supposed to deal with me,
You think actually it was that? Or it's just...
I don't think we had been there for long enough for them to...
Okay.
And I think the excuse that I went to Beijing University was a good excuse.
Yeah. But very interesting being there. And you were there for 6 months?
Yes.
Coming back
in January 2020.
And the day after you arrived to Oslo airport, you wrote a disassociation letter. Okay. This is it. This is Jasmin's story. We end here. Yeah, okay. Okay.
That would have been...
You have 15 minutes max. You are interested. I'm just joking. It's a bad Danish humor. Sarcasm is my thing. So you come back and you are beginning to doubt.
Yes.
And you are beginning to have independent thoughts. And your husband also more or less do you feel that he's listening to you?
I feel like my husband is more into it. Like he's very on his like mission, like on his, I don't think he's very doubting at this point. That's how I feel. But immediately after we come home, we move into a new apartment, and I think I maybe see the witnesses maybe one time before COVID starts.
You see the witnesses?
Yeah. Like I see them in person one time because I went to one gathering for a wedding anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got back. And then right after that, it was a lockdown. So that was the last time I saw them. And then when we started with the meetings over Zoom, I just remember being like, what in the actual is this? It was like I was so far removed. I remember starting laughing at one point. I was just I thought it was so ridiculous. And my husband got mad at me. He's like, what is it? And I'm like, this is insane. Did you hear what he just said? That makes no sense. Like, I was like, that's when it's like someone knocked me on the head and I could like see through it. Like, not going to the meeting, but watching Zoom. And we watched one of the, like something the governing body had taped or something. And I was just laughing. I was like, this man is like, this is insane. I was just on my phone doing other things.
Just a few months ago, most of us had probably never even heard the word coronavirus. Now the words coronavirus and COVID-19 have become an all too familiar part of our vocabulary. So the events unfolding around us are making clearer than ever that we're living in the final part of the last days, undoubtedly the final part of the final part of the last days, shortly before the last day of the last days.
But a lot of people left Jehovah's Witnesses during that Zoom period.
Yeah. I think it's because
Did you have the camera on? A lot of people
in the beginning, yes, because we felt like we had to in the very beginning.
But more and more,
but more and more,
black screen.
It's like a black screen. By the summer, like I started being like, the meetings are not like, no. And by summer that year, 2020, we were going to do the convention on Zoom, and I managed half a day. We were going to like sit there and have convention at home and watch this thing half a day. And I told my husband, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. You're going to have to watch this.
This is too ridiculous.
I managed like I was like, I can't watch this. You have to, can't take this seriously. This is making me want to pull my hair out. This is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard.
You dared say that to your husband, even though he was a little bit more...
I was like, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm really sorry. This is ridiculous.
You were not afraid he would go to the elders?
No.
Because his wife is spiritual, ill?
No.
No. He's loyal. Okay, good.
No, he was more like, maybe a little like annoyed with me and like, okay, pull yourself together.
But you could feel that he gave you right. Is it? Yeah. Underneath, he could see that you're right.
He gave me a little slack. I thought he just maybe wanted to leave me alone a little bit, to like let me cool off.
Jasmin, that's funny you mentioned that, because...
But I don't know. And also this is...
You don't know.
5 years.
We'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
We could call him now and invite him inside. That would be interesting. Okay. No. You're not... I know you're divorced, but
no,
you can speak.
Yeah, no. We do speak to each other. Yes.
But now you mentioned that you were waking up and seeing that convention, and this is too ridiculous.
It's insane.
One thing that is more that I heard of, and I saw that, experienced that also. I had a Zoom code for the Lord's evening supper, Herrens aftensmåltid. What is that in English?
Oh.
The memorial.
Yeah.
A memorial.
The memorial.
People were sitting in front of the Zoom cameras, and they had for themselves some udstødt bread.
Yeah.
The special bread.
Yeah.
And the wine.
Bread.
what? Unleavened?
Unleavened.
Unleavened bread, not unleavened. No lemon on that papadum. So they were sitting there with the bread. Also, people alone. Oh, that's insane.
Yeah, that's
people,
insane.
How can you contrive so many?
I refused to make the bread, so my husband made the bread, and I actually felt really bad. I felt like the worst wife because he was standing there making this little like dry bread, and I was just like, we can't possibly do this. But we had the table and everything. He had to do it. He was
and a little
very
cloth.
still. Yeah, cloth. It's insane.
So he gave you the bread and you said, no, I'm not. This is too ridiculous.
I don't think we did. I was like, I can't. This is so insane. I don't remember if we actually did.
He couldn't see it himself at that point?
I know.
So, no, it is ridiculous.
No.
How?
But
Jeffrey, I'm not one of the anointed. I don't need...
Yeah. But just to like, I'm gonna just to take it a little quicker here, just so I could get to the point.
Thank you.
That fall, I had my last year on my China study that fall. And then you have to do extra courses in a different area to make up for all the points. So I chose religion because I thought to myself, I've been taken out of religion class when I was a kid, so I don't know anything about any other religion. So maybe I should take this chance to actually learn about religion in the university instead of just primary school where you don't learn anything anyway. So I'm going to do it for real, okay? I'm going to study these other religions. And in this intro course, they had this book called I think it's called A Critical Introduction to Religion by Craig Martin. I could be wrong. But that's a very good book, and that's like, it gives you the lowdown on, like, you know.
So it's not like ex-Jehovah's Witness. It's a cult breaker and how to study a cult. It's not like that. It's just in general how...
It's general how religions are built, like how fundamentalism is, what authoritarian is, what legitimizing texts means, like all of these terms that you don't know, that you've just been used, like have been used on you your whole life and you don't know. And you learn, and I read this book and I was like, I didn't know what fundamentalist religions was. I didn't know that was a thing. And then I said, like, they do this, often doomsday, often takes things, very literal, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, this sounds a lot like the Witness.
And they didn't directly mention Jehovah's Witnesses,
no.
But you knew not what I'm coming from.
Yes. And so I said to my husband, please read this book. It's really good. So he did read it and he did think it was really good. And I started watching this series that Leah Remini did on Scientology. I don't know if you've seen it.
The ex-Scientologist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it was Scientology, not JWs.
Yeah.
So that,
later she did on JW, yes.
She did, but later in the program. So we started watching that. And the third thing that was like I feel like the most like mind-blowing thing for me was the documentary that NRK did, called Guds Utvalde.
Yeah. Is it still available publicly on the network?
I think
because
so.
It is a public service channel.
Yes. In Norway it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's
That is
available.
A very good Norwegian documentary a few years ago.
Very good.
It's really damaging for the watchtower.
Yeah.
It's facts. They're showing facts.
Yeah. And these two young girls, and I was just like, I actually had a lot of friends like, you have to watch this. And I was like, I don't know if I dare to watch it. You know?
You were still about, be careful.
But then I was like, I was home alone. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to tell my husband. And I was just crying. And I was like, this is 100% true. And I was like, this is terrible. And at that point, I kind of felt like, I remember I sent a message to one of the girls, because I do actually have like weird ties to both of the girls. Like one of them knows my cousin and the other one knows my sister.
But you never really...
But I haven't met them.
No.
But it's, Jehovah's Witness circle is not that,
No.
So I remember sending her a message after that and thanking her for her bravery for making this. And I was like, I'm very happy for you that you got out so early. And I think it's too late for me. That's what I said to her.
Oh, so at that point...
At that point, yeah.
You did not believe that you could actually leave Jehovah's Witnesses? You were caught?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I was like, well, my husband's going to leave me and everyone's going to leave me. And what am I going to do?
Did she respond to that?
She did respond. And she said, it's never too late to do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, it's never too late. But I didn't believe her at the time because I only saw all the obstacles and I was too scared. And also I had this thing in my head where it's like, what if it's still true? I hadn't fully broken the thing. It's like I had almost broken the thing, but there was still something like, but yeah, what if it is true? And then I told my husband straight out, I was like, I need to figure out this because I have so many doubts. And then he was like, well, you have to do a thorough study then and you figure it out. You choose something that you don't believe or that you want to learn and then...
But he kept saying, you have to do it, you have to... He didn't... Well, he's not interested himself in...
No, but at that time, he then, after he said that, he admitted that I actually have some things I want to study too. That he had buried very deep down his doubts. And
Do you remember what it was?
I don't remember. There was some biblical things that he thought didn't make sense. Yeah.
There are a lot of things in the Bible, especially the Old Testament. Two bears comes out tearing 40 children because they're
nothing makes sense. But there was some things that he had been like thinking about over the years. He told me then that he had just been continuously like, no.
Never question God's word. No.
And then we both decided to study each of our things. And it's so weird. The thing that I decided to study, guess what it was?
Don't say it. You already studied religion and totalitarian religions. So now you're going another way.
No.
Studying, let me guess, still something to do with the religious?
It's a JW belief that I decided to do.
The conscious book.
No,
Valerie French.
Yeah, no, not that one. Actually, my husband got more into that one. He actually wanted to do research on that. I decided to do research on the 607 prophecy thing.
Going down the rabbit hole. Yeah.
And I discovered very quickly that, the JWs are just completely wrong on their thing.
Wrong, and you could say liars.
Yeah.
They know it's wrong.
Yeah.
I know it's a big thing for people coming. Also for me in the old time, almost 30 years ago. Oh, they were wrong about cigarettes. Today, I don't care. I don't care.
No.
I care about how damaging it is.
Yeah.
People tearing their families apart.
It was important for my own indoctrination to do it.
Because now you could pinpoint where they're directly lying.
Yeah.
What about the overlapping generation, for God's sake? That is so stupid that even...
But that was so... I couldn't even get a hold of that. Like, how are you supposed to... I remember asking my dad about that when I was a little kid. Actually, I was like, I don't understand. And then he tried to explain it to me. And I was like, I'm still confused. I don't understand.
He doesn't understand either.
But right after that, there was also... I found a letter because I was looking at the UIO websites. And I was at the law section. And then I just decided to type in Jehovah's Witnesses.
What is UIO?
University of Oslo, University of Oslo online library where you can get access to all kinds of things. And so I found this letter that the JWs had applied for money from the state. And then that's the first time I saw that they lied to the state. And so I was like...
Example, please?
No, they said the excluded people... can come and have family relations as normal, and they can come to the congregation.
Just only not spiritual contact. That's what they say. The David Gnam says that. They also said that last year here in Oslo. Oh, we can have normal relationship with our family members, only not spiritual. It's a directly lie.
As the meeting progressed with Mr. Wall, the elders came to the decision that Mr. Wall was not sufficiently repentant for his disgraceful conduct, and the congregation elders took the decision to disfellowship him. That word is used by Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses don't use the word shun or shunning. They refer to it as disfellowship, disfellowshipping, disfellowshipped, because that really gives the sense of what's taking place within this particular religious community. Disfellowship literally means no further spiritual fellowship with the individual. And as I point out, sorry, Chief Justice. As I point out at paragraph 22 of my factum, the nature of the relationship then of a disfellowship person is not completely shunned. As far as their family members are concerned, normal family relations continue with the exception of spiritual fellowship.
So you saw that in IAO,
Yeah,
no?
because they have like law, like the law documents are public,
Yeah.
you know, and they had publicly applied for support for the Statsstøtte.
Yeah.
And then it also says that like to be able to get this grant, members have to be able to come and go as they want without physically being stopped or mentally.
Paragraph 1 in trosfrihedsloven. Yeah.
Yes. And it says all there. And then the witness's answer is like, yeah, there's nothing. People can come and go. There's nothing. And we treat our families the same.
And that started the whole trial thing, right?
Yes.
And here we are
And
today.
that's why the trial thing is so close to my heart too, because that letter was like slamming it in my head.
Was it you starting it?
No.
You read that and contacted the newspaper?
No, I didn't.
No.
But
It would have been a good story.
Dude.
I started it. I was a small. Now it's a big rolling snowball.
That was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I was.
Oh, you at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, and I showed it to my husband. I was like, "Look at this! Isn't this insane?"
And he could see that they are lying.
Yeah.
Just to get the.
Yeah.
Isn't that strange? They want everybody, all the 9 million members, not to be a part of the world, not to have worldly friends,
and not to be materialistic.
Yeah, now they actually want to be a part of, have the world's approval.
Yeah.
It's hypocritical.
It's very hypocritical, and it's actually insane because they go against everything that they've taught their members.
Yeah.
But anyway, by that, so I started school in fall, and by December 2020, we were both like...
Yeah, but what did you write a disassociation letter?
Not
or just
until we faded from December until June, July 2021, and then we sent the letter.
During that period, were there people contact you? Oh, we miss you at the meetings. We miss you, encouraging you to come off.
Not really, because it was still COVID times, and we would sometimes log on to the Zoom meeting and not have the camera on. And this is actually a little insane how I found out about Ashley and Alex, because we hadn't been maybe for a few weeks. We hadn't even been on the Zoom meetings. Because we had periods where we did it and then we didn't do it. And sometimes I was like, I can't even have it on in the background. It's too much. It's terrible. But then in February 2021, one night I was like, I really think we should go to the meeting today, put the Zoom on. And then my husband was like, no, why? We haven't done it for so long. I can't be bothered. Let's not do it. And I was like, no, I really feel like we should, because what if something happens? We won't know. What if there's an announcement that we need to hear?
Who's going to be disfellowship?
But it's insane. I feel like my intuition is insane, because we hadn't been on a meeting for weeks. And I was like, I feel like there's some announcements that we need to hear. And lo and behold, the announcements come, and it's Alex and Ashley Bjørnsrud are no longer part of the Jehovah's Witnesses. And I remember looking at my husband and I was like, this is the sign. You text him right now, and we need to get a hold of them, because they don't know that we're woken up.
But they were first. You have to give them credit
for leaving. Yeah. But we woke up at the same time. They also woke up in December. They were just quickly out.
Do you know if there are other than you that was inspired by them waking up and leaving?
I don't know. From our congregation?
Yeah, but maybe, okay. But you were 4.
Yeah.
2 young
From the
couple.
same congregation, with only a few months in between.
And then later on, you wrote this association, being inspired, and now you're best friend. With Ashley. Yeah.
We met them, we invited them to our house, actually for the memorial. And we had the memorial on Zoom on mute while we were drinking, drinks made with red wine. And we had a great party and got to know each other. While the memorial was on in the background, unmuted.
Oh, that's so
It was
funny.
so funny.
I love that story.
Oh.
Okay, now we got it through.
Yeah.
I know there are a lot of other stories and side stories. We don't have time.
Oh yeah, there's so much more.
No, please stop. Don't stop. But at the end, like I asked Ashley's, other young couple or singles, whatever, wants to leave Jehovah's Witnesses and are in the same state of mind as you were. No, I cannot leave. I know it's bullshit. Beep. But I cannot leave because what if it's true? What is out there in the world? I'm afraid of the world. What can become of me? I'm losing all my social network and so on. Do you have any kind of advice? Do you have so much experience now being outside in the world?
That's a very hard question. And I feel like it also comes with a lot of responsibility too.
Just your own experiences.
But this is okay. You have to do what's right for you, and you have to do it in your own time. That you can't do it until you feel like it's right. Like with me, I had doubts for years. I had doubts mixed terrible feelings since 2015-16, and it took me 4 years to really get to a place where I could go. And I don't think I could have done it before. And I never thought I could before that either. The thing you said about if you still think that it's true, that's a completely separate thing. Then you have to sit down and figure out if you do believe it's true or not. Like my husband said to me, you have to study it. You have to pick something, study it, pick whatever you think you need to study to make you, pick everything apart, basically. Pick it apart, do whatever you need to do. Don't just sit there and be like, oh no, I think it's maybe true and, God, blah, blah, blah. Just don't think about God. Just pick their doctrine apart, however you feel like doing that. And then you have to, I know that everyone has different circumstances, and I'm not going to sit here and say, you should leave or do this and that. No. That's not something that anyone can do, but do what you feel like you need to do to survive.
And take your time.
It's not an easy process. It can take years, but you can do it when you feel ready. When you feel good and ready, you can go.
You wrote a disassociation letter.
Yeah.
But that's not an advice you would give. No, you can
you don't have to do that. The reason why we did that personally, because we did fade for 6-7 months. And we were talking about maybe we should just be faders. Yeah. Maybe we should just fade still and just still have contact. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that it was already so many rumors spreading at that point because we had been away from the meeting for a while and people were talking. People knew that something was up. And a lot of people weren't talking to us anyway, soft shunning us. So people knew that something was up. And then we decided to get a divorce. And we didn't want the elders to come running with their marital counseling or no, because they can do that if you're still in there and you know what I mean, and they find out, they can come knock on your door and be like, hi, we think you need.
Did you write a disassociation letter and then the day after you got a divorce, or as a close to these events?
It's actually not a lie. We got a separation, and I think we applied for separation and wrote the letter almost on the same day, at least the same week.
That's wonderful. That's good.
We just wanted now I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't have written a letter because I don't want to play by the rules. No. But we also wanted them to leave us alone. Yeah. And that's the best. They wouldn't have left us alone. I feel like they would have been more you know how they are. I don't have to explain it to you. But yeah, it was more to be stay away. We don't want anyone coming with their advices.
And they haven't been there since then.
No.
To their credit, they should be visiting you after the new rules. But on the other hand, GDPR, they don't know your address officially, so they're not allowed to come.
No.
Interesting. So in a way, it's very encouraging, sister. Your story is very encouraging for me. That even though you're divorced today, you can still be together and talk about you two have a special bond, not only being married together, but you left Jehovah's Witnesses. And a lot of young married people from Jehovah's Witnesses, it's the same as it. They leave and later on they get divorced because, now we are free to think. We would probably not have chosen each other to be married if we were not Jehovah's Witnesses.
Or you grow apart because you marry.
Or you're just girlfriend, boyfriend. Why do you have to have a ring on it?
Yeah.
So it's a normal story, but some people, not my marriage. I need to fight for it. No, you sat together as 18 years, or you were big children, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Of course, you're not meant to be. And I'm not saying to everybody to get divorced, but it's not a thing you should be embarrassed about. Because it's not a sacred thing.
It's
maybe
not a given that it will happen either. You might stay together.
Yeah.
You might have a better relationship and a better marriage, but at least you get to be like honest or like, come to this decision yourself, or like when you've both woken up and like you can decide your own values and your own things and then you decide to stay together, you're going to have a much better marriage. So I wouldn't stay in it just to keep the marriage. If the marriage is like, you're just scared to, it's like, it's either going to make it better or it's not going to work, but it will be more authentic than being a JW, is what I would say. But I get that it's scary, especially if you've been together for a long time.
Let this be the last word, because your time is up now by 9 minutes. Okay, listen. No, Jasmin, this has been very interesting and funny to talk with you. And Ashley, I love that you are living now together.
Yeah.
And you have this story, and it was very encouraging, sisters.
Oh, thank you.
Very interesting stories. Okay, now let's pray.
Let's pray.
Let's pray. No, but here's to you, and good life continuing. Living your worldly life and your worldly life, and I wish you all the best in the world.
Thank you very much. It was very nice being here.
Okay, thank you. That it wasn't supposed to be nice.